Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Dirty Derbs YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching and following up. We're back on the Firebird, and if you've seen the last video, I got the new motor in and it will not fire. It has no RPM signal, which is usually crank or cam signal of some sort. And this morning I was talking to the guys and everything, and I'm pretty sure we have figured out what it is. When you switch to the Gen 4 stuff, the harness on the cam sensor is actually, the pins need to be flipped, or you need to run the adapter harness on the front of the cover. So I have those. I did not think about that, and I didn't think about that because I don't remember switching the pins when I first put this harness in this car to do the Gen 3 stuff. I don't remember doing that, so I didn't think that was it. But maybe I didn't do that, and that works with the Gen 3 stuff, and you have to use that harness for the Gen 4 stuff. So we're gonna throw that on, and we're gonna see what happens. Okay, getting pretty crazy here on the bench. These are all the sensors that I went through, cam and crank sensors. They're all GM, all AC Delco, all pulled out of perfectly good running engines that I've had sitting around and yada yada. But this is that harness that I was referring to. It's usually on the mounted on the front of the timing chain cover. So we're gonna throw this thing on there loosely, plug it in, and see what happens. All right, well, I think we all know where the cam sensor is. It's right there in the front of the timing chain cover. It is really tricky to get inside of here, get my hand in there and unplug it, but hopefully it won't be too bad. I mean, I've already replaced the sensor 3 times in there. I actually ended up just taking the belt off and leaving it off until I've got this situation figured out. So we're just gonna go ahead and switch this guy out real quick. Unplugging it is really easy, but plugging it in is a nightmare. I actually have no idea how I'm gonna get this thing plugged in there. I think I have to take out the bolt too. Okay, I'm gonna put the camera down, try this. Okay, as I was putting this in, I quickly remembered that these plugs are actually different. So I'm just gonna do it the other way and depin the connector and flip them around. Thanks to Brent, he sent me a little diagram, and it kind of just tells you what you should have. So I needed to switch the 2 outsides, and we're gonna try that real quick and plug it in and see what happens. We got that thing hooked back up. Let's go see what it does. I think we'll know right away, and I'm willing to bet that that was it. Spicy. Yep, that was it. Okay, so put that down. Gen 3 to Gen 4 wiring on the cam sensor needs to be flipped around. I'm gonna post a picture of the diagram that Brent sent me, and maybe this will help you guys on yours. But super big thanks to Tyler and Brent, the meeting of the minds we had, and they were right, they nailed it. So pretty stoked. Now we can, hopefully the trans comes in tomorrow or whenever, and we can get ripping on this thing. I ordered another turbo. That should be here later this week. This one's for... All right guys, we are back on the Firebird, and I just picked up the transmission. So my transmission guy said this thing was smoked. Basically I smoked all the clutches, and all he did was replace the clutches and put a new gasket kit on there. It's been a week, and the whole week this converter has been sitting on top of a bucket just draining, and I just filled it back up with some fresh fluid, and there ain't much left to do other than put this thing in and go drive this car, which I'm pretty stoked about. It's been 1 week since we took it apart, and the new turbo will be here today. I probably won't put it on quite yet. I want to get used to this engine, make sure this engine's going to work good, and you know, no oiling issues and stuff like that before I start swapping turbos. So we're going to put this thing in and rock and roll. All right, she's all together as far as I know. So let's start it. Thanks to Taylor for helping out. Taylor, do you want to look underneath the engine bay and make sure there's no fires outside of the holes? I'm gonna check for oil pressures. Put it in gear. See any leaks? No. I'm gonna let it prime one more time. Look good? Tune-wise, oil pressure's good, fuel pressure's good, so we'll let it warm up, let that O2 sensor start doing its job and correcting on the tune, and hopefully it'll run a little smoother. It really doesn't like not having my foot on the gas just a little bit. Feels like there's a misfire. Maybe. There it goes, it's idling now. I know why it sounds a little goofy. I thought there was a misfire and some stuff, and there might be, but I also heard like a weird kind of like ticking noise. I always leave the exhaust loose on the manifolds, or on the, you know, the head surfaces, because I put the crossover pipe on, and then I tighten the crossover pipe up really tight, and then I'll clamp the sides down. That way everything's aligned. So I'll have to tighten up all the header bolts. I'll do that real quick, and then we'll go for a drive. Now let's see how it sounds after fixing the exhaust. Still gonna need some help, of course, until we get this tune dialed in. Still not the greatest. It just seems choppy. I should probably get the laptop out and see what's going on with that. All right, guys, still trying to figure this thing out. To be honest, I just haven't had a whole lot of time, but it's running like crap, and I got to get it figured out today. I have time today, so it probably just needs a good tune. And what I'm going to start with today is opening up the throttle body a little bit to give this thing a little bit more air. Because right now it won't idle, it barely starts. But once you give it a little throttle and start this thing up, it runs pretty okay. So with this camshaft, I think it just requires more air at idle, so we need to crack this throttle body open just a hair. So we're gonna start with that. And then I've had my doubts about these injectors. I do have new injectors. So we're gonna throw these things in before we start doing any tuning. It's basically the same injector, Bosch 210s, and there's Bosch 210s in there. From what I heard, they are no longer making Bosch 210s. I don't know when that's going to start or if it's even true, but I just went ahead and bought another set because I don't want to get caught with my pants down. I like my Bosch 210s. So we're going to pull these injectors out, put the new ones in, and then I'm going to try to start it after that and see what it does. But and then we're going to crack that throttle body open, and then I believe Justin's going to come over and put his magic fingers on the keyboard, and hopefully we get this thing to run pretty good and we can go ripping later today. So I got my old injectors out and I'm getting ready to put my new ones in. But another reason that I wanted to switch injectors is because, see that height difference there? These are my old ones, and with the taller ones I had to run fuel rail extension brackets to bring that rail up higher, and I've kind of hated it. And with these ones, these are the correct size. The rail sits down on top of these injectors, and I no longer have to use these extensions. So rail's going to sit lower, it's going to look way cleaner, and getting rid of all this extra hardware that I guess can cause more potential issues down the road. More bolts, more nuts, more things to come loose. Lower is cleaner. So we're gonna lube these suckers up and put them in. All right, we got those new injectors in. They seem happy and wiggly. Your fuel rail should not clamp down so hard on the injector that they can't swivel. They should be pretty free. If they're clamped down too hard and they don't swivel, you probably have the wrong offset, or they just need to be loosened up a bit. So that, and always slide your injector into the fuel rail and then slide the whole rail and injector assembly down onto the intake. The fuel rail cut will basically cut the O-ring sometimes if you try to slide the rail down onto the injector. So I always put the injector into the rail, put the whole assembly down the intake. And when it comes to the throttle body, I did crack it open a little bit. It's a T15 on like a stock truck deal. And there's a little set screw right under here. You just turn that up a little bit and it will physically open the throttle blade. So, will it start? We fitting to see. talking. I just had to go in here and fat finger some stuff real quick, and she's running pretty good now. Transmission fluid, checked a few other things out. I realized that I kind of forgot that I cranked and cranked on this thing and it didn't fire up because of the cam sensor situation. So I'm sure I just flooded it with fuel, which is no big deal, to help clean it out, right? So, dude, it's running pretty smooth now. Spicy. This cam is pretty choppy. Gotta have to chop, you know? You hear it? Well, she blew up. We were just starting to make a couple of rips, and was just kind of slowly rolling into things, and happened to look down at the oil pressure, and as I was doing that, the car died, and it will not start back up.
And another one.
And another one, yeah. So very short-lived. We got freaking 3 miles out of it, and so it's locked up. So it kind of so far seems to be some sort of bearing issue, and we're gonna have to pull this motor back out. Yippee. You know, what can you do? It's broke. We checked the oil, as you've seen. It looks lovely. You seen what was in the filter. We just got to pull this thing back out. This is not at all what I thought I'd be doing today, and it kind of sucks. I don't even have like a theory on what really could have happened yet. Maybe cam bearings or main bearing, rod bearing. I really have no idea. So I'm just gonna pull this thing back out, and we'll see what's going on. All right, well, while I was underneath draining the oil, I just went ahead and undid all of the bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts, starter, and stuff that was underneath the truck, or underneath the car, sorry. So this motor's only been in here for 5 minutes, so everything should come out really fast and easy. We'll throw this thing on time lapse and get her yanked out. All right, I'm not sure how long it's been, like 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure this is probably a record on getting the motor pull out of this thing this fast. I was working on getting the ground wire bolts, and the motor's tilted back because I let the trans mount down. So I went to just bump up the lift, and the whole fucking transmission, ooh, excuse my language, whole transmission, I don't know if you can see it, but it just kind of fell out of the car. So, whoops, got a mess down there, but this thing is literally ready to come out. I need to hook a chain up to it and get it out of there. Hopefully, transmission coming out, it didn't fall too far, just a couple inches down, but hopefully it didn't break anything like the shifter cable or anything else. So we'll get this thing yanked out of here, start taking it apart. I feel like we were just right here, like 27 minutes ago. You know? Doing the same deal. How'd you go, Miss Ho? Oh, that's crunchy. Come on, get up off of there. Extra crunchy. First thing I'm pulling off is the pan. I want to check the rods and mains, see if those are messed up. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. This thing is more than likely trash. Bummer. One of the first things I wanted to see if like the pickup tube was clogged up. And there's some stuff in there, but it kind of looks like it's all new. So that looks, you know, about how I expected. get this thing up in the air a little bit and see what I can see. So the first thing that I'm looking for is a sign of heat. Like on a rod cap or something maybe. Nothing to the eye yet. Oops. This one maybe looks a little bit darker. Maybe not. See if I can see any cam bearings up there. Nothing yet. Well, I guess it's just gonna have to come apart a little bit further. Or maybe I'll start pulling the camshaft out of it. Start there, I suppose. All right, let's pull this camshaft out. I got the front of the motor apart. I got the push rods and rockers off. Getting ready to pull the cam out. But this is a good time for you to check out the merch store that I have and buy some cool shirts, hats, hoodies. Check that stuff out. Help support whatever it is that I have going on here and get you some cool stuff. Link is in the description and in the bio. Spin this thing over so no rockers or lifters fall down. Yep, it's coming out nicely, so there's no way that this is a cam bearing because it would have got stuck by now. She's still rocking and rolling, which is a good thing. I mean, even though the motor's trashed, but the camshaft was brand new, so it should be fine. Yep, all the journals and everything look great. So I guess, you know, that's a good thing, which just means that all the shavings came from the lower end. So it's either main bearing, rod bearing. That could only be it. So I guess we'll get this thing on an engine stand, turn it over, and start pulling some main caps off of here. She's sitting on the stand. I've got her flipped over. I've got the camshaft out, and it's still really hard to turn over. As I was kind of looking through there, I could still feel some heat coming off this thing. That's 80 degrees. It's only 42 degrees in the shop, and I went and ate lunch, so kind of impressive. Still feel some warmth coming off that unit. All right, I'm gonna start popping caps off. We'll figure it out. Okay, we've got our verdict here. Rod bearing. I don't know if I should feel happy that it's, you know, maybe this thing had issues before I got it. I never heard this motor run. I didn't really know much about it other than it supposedly burned oil. When I got it, it had a collapsed lifter, typical. Usually nothing ever comes of that. Or maybe drilling and tapping this block, some debris got in there and tore some stuff up. I'm not sure of that either. Or maybe when I was trying to start it with the cam sensor wiring backwards and it was overloading on fuel and backfiring, this thing could have just backfired and hammered a bearing right out of it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this camera or not. Try to get the lighting right here. It's flared out. It's kind of hard to see, but it's flared out. Like it's like detonation or something. Basically just hammered on that bearing once and mushroomed it out. So, and that was the good side of the bearing. This was the other side of that. I had to kind of pry it. It was kind of stuck, like on the crank and around, so I kind of had to pry it out. It didn't really come out kind of deformed like that, but basically it just mushroomed side of it out and put some heat in the crank a little bit. Sorry, I know the camera's pretty shoddy, but put some heat in the crank. This thing's potentially junk. Like I said before, I didn't know anything about this motor. When I got it, it had a bad lifter, and I fix those like every day here at the shop. Nothing usually comes about that. There could have been some other issues with this motor that maybe I didn't know about. I didn't care to check any of the caps or the mains or nothing like that. Normally, I don't ever do that. I took a gamble on this one, and it cost me. So what do you think happened? I mean, there was kind of a lot of variations of stuff happening getting this motor in the car. Could have been anything. Could be my fault. Maybe, maybe not. It does suck. Old reliable, old Gail here, she's probably gonna have to go back in the car. But anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video. Check out the merch store. I could use it. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.